Does everybody remember the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Do you remember that story? With Papa Bear and Mama Bear and Baby Bear, and of course, Goldilocks. Do you remember Goldilocks? Let's do the story. Let's see if we can remember all the pieces of this story. It's one of my favorites, especially when I was your age, when I was little. So once upon a time, there were 3 bears that lived in a house in the woods. There was Papa Bear. He's big, the biggest. Mama Bear. She's a little bit smaller than him. And then Baby Bear. He's still tiny. He's probably about your size. Maybe 2 or 3 years old. So one day, they got up as usual and they made some porridge for breakfast. They were all making it together in the kitchen as a family. And it was still pretty hot on the stove, so they went ahead and portioned it out into their 3 bowls. The biggest bowl was for Papa Bear. The next size bowl, the medium size, was for Mama Bear. And then they put some in the small bowl. Who do you think that was for? Yeah, for Baby Bear. So they portioned all of their porridge out, and they decided to go for a walk while it was cooling off because it just came off the stove. Do you ever have oatmeal for breakfast? Porridge is kind of like oatmeal. So off Papa Bear went to go into the woods for a little bit for a walk with Mama Bear and Baby Bear. Here they go together off into the woods for a walk. Well, what they didn't know is there was a little girl with blonde hair walking around the woods by herself. She'd lost her way. She was trying to just go for a walk and then got lost. She stumbled upon this cute little house in the woods. And she knocked on the door. Hello? Nobody answered. So she didn't mind her manners and she went on in without being invited. And she walked in their house and she was so hungry. She'd been walking around for a while and hadn't had breakfast yet. And what did she see? 3 bowls of porridge cooling off on a table. Remember those? She was so hungry. She was going to resist, but she didn't. She took a bite out of the biggest bowl first. Ouch! It was so hot. Whew, it burned her tongue. So then she tried one from the second bowl, the medium-sized bowl. Ooh, it was too cold. Then she took a bite out of the small bowl, and it was just right. And she ate it all up. So with her belly full of porridge, she was wandering around the house looking for somewhere to take a nap. And she sat down first in the biggest chair. Who do you think that belonged to? Who sits in the biggest chair at this house? Papa Bear. But it was too hard. And then she sat in the next size chair, the medium size. Who's that belong to? Mama Bear. And it was too squishy. She felt smushed in it. So then she tried the next smallest chair. Who's that belong to? Baby Bear. And it was perfect. It felt just right. And she rocked and rocked and rocked in this chair until she was getting very sleepy. And she wandered around the house, and what did she stumble upon? 3 beds. Well, she tried the biggest one first, the green bed. Who do you think sleeps in the biggest bed at this house? Papa Bear. And it was too hard. It hurt her back. So then she tried the next size, the medium-sized bed, the yellow bed. Who do you think sleeps in that bed? Mama Bear. And it was too soft, too squishy. So she tried the smallest bed, the purple bed here. Who do you think that belonged to? Baby Bear. And she was so cozy, it was just right. She fell asleep. Well, next thing you know, the 3 bears, Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear, come back from their walk to eat their breakfast. They figured it's cooled off by now. Papa Bear said, "Someone's been eating my porridge." Mama Bear said, "Someone's been eating my porridge." And Baby Bear said, "Someone ate all of my porridge." So they walked around the house. They knew something was up. That wasn't how they left it. They went into their living room and sat in their chairs. Papa Bear said, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." Mama Bear said, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." And Baby Bear said, "Someone's been sitting in my chair and I think they broke it." They go around the house. They're still trying to figure out what's going on. And they go to their bedroom. And Papa Bear says, "Someone's been laying in my bed." And Mama Bear says, "Someone was laying in my bed too." And Baby Bear said, "Someone was laying in my bed and they're still in it." Well, with all the commotion, it woke Goldilocks right up. And she saw 3 bears staring at her. Well, it scared her to death, naturally. It's not every day you run into 3 bears living in a house in the woods. And she screamed, "Ah!" And she ran out of the house. She ran all the way home. And you know what? She learned her lesson that day. You don't go into someone's house without being invited and use their things, huh? It's not very nice. Well, Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear made a new batch of porridge. And this time, they didn't go for a walk so they could make sure that everything cooled off and nobody snuck in to eat their breakfast while they were gone. So they ate their breakfast, their big bowl for Papa Bear, the medium bowl for Mama Bear, and the small bowl for Baby Bear. Then they all went into the living room and did a little rocking session in their rocking chairs. Papa Bear was in the big chair, Mama Bear was in the medium chair, and Baby Bear was in his little tiny rocker that Papa Bear fixed up so it fit him just right again. And after all that, they were exhausted, and they went into their beds, and they took a nap to get ready for the rest of their day, probably to go fishing in the stream and get some salmon. The